Sheikh Abdul Hakim, a frequent speaker at MCMC, said something very profound. He said, I've been to hundreds of masajid all over the country, and whenever I've seen people raise their hands in response to an appeal, there's always this big smile on their face. Subhanallah, just let that sink in. It's like imagine if someone jumps in a swimming pool, it is 100% guaranteed that this person will get wet. Similarly, once we donate for the sake of Allah, it's like jumping in a pool filled with happiness. You are guaranteed to be drenched in happiness. Brothers and sisters, we are reaching out to you with an urgent appeal regarding MCMC operations. There has been no Jummah collection for almost 2 months now, and now with the masjid closed during Ramadan, it is indeed a huge financial burden. Ramadan is the time we collect funds that enable us to do hundreds of programs throughout the year. We collect funds to improve our security, to improve the overall facility, and to do outreach work throughout the year. Times are tough, and no doubt there are hundreds of good causes to donate, but upkeeping your home has to be the #1 priority. If MCMC is where you pray your daily prayers, if this is the place where you pray Jummah, Taraweeh, Eid, if this is the place where your kids learn about Allah and His Messenger, then this is your home. This is your primary responsibility to maintain your home. Please visit mcmcnj.org/themasjid and support and upkeep your home. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and your family and fill your heart with happiness.
ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم يوقنون والذين أولئك
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome, brothers and sisters, inshallah, to this presentation. Inshallah, we're going to continue with the seerah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. As Ramadan starts, I hope you guys are all enjoying your Ramadan. We're coming to an end, and I hope you can gain maximum benefit in these last couple of weeks. Inshallah, with that, we are going to start our presentation. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ramadan Kareem. And today we're going to talk about a very special pledge, a treaty, a pact that was made between the Prophet ﷺ, and we will find out who he made this pledge with, which allowed Islam to flourish. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Now, before we start, we need to understand, we need to know how the Muslims were being treated in Mecca at this time, which will help us understand why it was so important for this agreement, this pact, this treaty to happen. So here are your options. So can you tell me how the Muslims were being treated in Mecca at this time, and how were they feeling? Were they A, the Muslims sleeping peacefully through the day and night, like this cartoon? Or B, were they having a great jolly time singing and dancing on the streets of Mecca? Or C, were they being tortured by the pagans with these cartoon characters representing pagans? A, B, or C? Give you a few seconds. Okay. MashaAllah. Yes, you are right. It is C. They were still having a hard time with the pagans who were torturing them and harassing them. So they felt like something had to happen. They had been making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, help us get through these hard times. So what you need to know is that every year in Mecca or around Mecca, there used to be fair, a big fair where all the people from all around different areas around Mecca would come there, and then they would sell their goods. There would be markets that would be set up, and they would actually even perform the Hajj. And this is before Islam, right? This is what they were doing. Even the pagans, they were doing this. So what they would do is they would come and they set up this fair. The Prophet ﷺ took every opportunity that he could to tell people about Islam. So when this fair was happening in the 11th year of the Prophet's mission, which is 11 years after the Prophet ﷺ, actually it should be the 10th or 11th year, where the Prophet ﷺ, after he received the revelation from Allah and he became Rasulullah ﷺ, he thought that he should take advantage of this fair and approach the people and tell them about Islam. So he went to them and he started doing dawah. Now, what is dawah? Does anyone know what dawah is? What does dawah mean? It is not dawa. Dawa is medicine in Urdu. This is dawah. Yeah, so dawah is an invitation to Islam, right? It is when you go and tell people. So the Prophet ﷺ, this whole time, what he was doing was dawah to the people, like, oh, people, save yourselves. I have come with the truth and accept Islam. This is dawah. So in this fair, the Prophet ﷺ started doing dawah to all these different tribes, hoping that some of them would accept Islam. Unfortunately, no tribe accepted Islam, but there were a few people who accepted Islam. And some of these stories are very interesting, right? Because we have the story of Suwaid bin Samit, who was actually a poet from Yathrib. Where is Yathrib? Does anyone know where Yathrib is? It is a place. It is a city. Yeah. So Yathrib was the name of Medina before the Prophet ﷺ migrated there, right? And after the Prophet ﷺ named it Medina, and it's been known as Medina ever since. So we all call it Medina, but before Medina, it was Yathrib. So this poet, Suwaid, he came from Yathrib, and he was a great poet. So the Prophet ﷺ started doing dawah to him over there, and he repeated some of his poetry. And then when the Prophet ﷺ recited some verses from the Quran, he was like, these are very sublime words, and this must be the truth. So he accepted Islam. There was another man, the man Azdi, he was from Yemen. So you see people are coming from all over the Arabian Peninsula. He was an exorcist. You know what an exorcist is? It's somebody who helps people who have gone a little crazy. Okay, they're having a hard time. They're possessed. So they try to cure them by using all these different methods, right? So he was an exorcist, and he had heard about the Prophet ﷺ, and the Quraysh and the pagans would try to tell people that don't listen to this man because he needs an exorcist, because what he's saying is very powerful and it can possess you. So he himself, being an exorcist, he came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, let me cure you of your problem. So the Prophet ﷺ started by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, say Alhamdulillah, and then he said the Shahada, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. And then when the man heard this, he thought that I have heard all different kind of sorcerers and people who have been possessed. I've never heard words these are this beautiful. So he accepted Islam, Alhamdulillah. And also there was another poet from Yemen, Tufail, who was actually told by the Quraysh to stuff his ears, so he can't even listen to what the Prophet ﷺ is saying. So he actually went around with his ear stuffed. He probably looked funny, but he did it. And then he was like, wait a minute, I'm a great poet, right? I shouldn't be scared. Let me see what he has to say. So he, unstuffed his ear and he heard the Prophet ﷺ, and he knew that this was the truth also. So he also accepted Islam. So you see, people did start accepting Islam in this fair. Now, something amazing happened during this time. Um, this is actually the 10th year of the Prophet, not 11th year. But there were people who came from Yathrib, right? Yathrib had two tribes, two main tribes of Arabs, the Aus and the Khazraj. So there were six men from Yathrib who came to this fair from Yathrib, which is Medina, and they had been exposed to the religion of the Jews, Judaism, because there were tribes of Jews in Medina, right? And the Arabs and the Jews at that time, they weren't really, really friendly, right? So they had like a competition going on. And the Jews used to tell them all about their religion. And you should tell them that, guess what? We got a prophet who's coming, a promised prophet who's going to come. And they told him his signs, how he's going to come. He's going to come here and he's going to be our prophet and he's going to lead us. He's going to be our leader. So they already knew that the Jews are waiting for a prophet. So these six men, they actually went to Mecca for this fair, right outside of Mecca. And the Prophet ﷺ found them and started doing da'wah to them when he found out that they're from Medina, and that they live amongst the Jews. So when they heard the Prophet ﷺ talking, they started listening and they're like, wow, this sounds very familiar. This is the man that the Jews are waiting for. This is the promised prophet. As you can see, the Jews are telling these Khazraj people in this animation about the prophet. So when they realized that this is the promised prophet, they got excited, right? They're like, wow, this is the truth and it makes sense. And you know what? Let us be the first ones to accept him, right? Before the Jews, because they had this competition going on. So, and so they were like, you know what? We're going to accept him before even the Jews are going to accept him because we found out about him first. So they accepted Islam and they said, you know what? We're going to go back and we're going to tell people about Islam and we'll come and meet you here next year again. So this is the deal they made with the Prophet ﷺ, right? So these six men from Khazraj, from Medina, they said, we're going to go back. We're going to come next year to meet you again, this time the same year. So they went back, they started telling people about Islam. Some people had accepted Islam. So next year comes around. Now, what happens is this year now, the fair is happening again. Now 12 people from Medina, from Yathrib, go to Mecca, right? For this fair outside of Mecca, right? So 5 of the 6 original people and 7 new converts, they go. And then they met the Prophet ﷺ near Mina, right? The Prophet ﷺ told them about Islam. And there they made a pledge, okay? Which we call a treaty, right? This is when, you make a promise to somebody, right? Like my kids, they make promises to me. They're like, Dad, if you get us this, well, they call me Baba. They're like, Baba, if you give me this chocolate candy, I promise I will clean up my toys, right? But my kids, a lot of times, they don't clean up. But these people, alhamdulillah, they were truthful, right? So they made a pledge. And you know what their pledge was? Their pledge was, okay, they made a pledge with the Prophet ﷺ that we're only going to worship Allah. We're not going to worship any idols, right? And we're not going to disobey you, O Prophet, right? If you tell us to do good, we are not going to disobey what you're saying. And also, we're not going to steal and we're not going to kill. We're not going to fight. We're not going to do bad things, right? So they took this pact and they went back to Medina. So they go back in Medina, and now you see Islam is getting stronger in Medina because these 12 men, they went back to Medina and they started doing da'wah, right? So, but before these 12 people went to Medina, they asked the Prophet ﷺ to send somebody very important, a major companion with them back to Medina who could teach them about Islam, about the Quran. And the Prophet ﷺ sent Musa bin Umair with them, right? So Musa bin Umair went to Medina with them, and then they started doing da'wah. Slowly, people started learning about Islam, and some people started accepting Islam, right? So you can see Islam is growing in Medina, alhamdulillah. Now, a great thing happened also in Medina, right? One of the greatest companions that we know of, Sa'ad bin Mu'adh, he accepted Islam in Medina. He was actually the chief. He was the leader of one of the 2 major tribes in Medina. He was the leader of the Aus tribe. And, they weren't too fond, first of all, of what was going on in Medina about these Muslims coming and trying to tell people about Islam. So actually, at one time they saw Musab bin Umair sitting and giving dawah. So Saad told his companion Usaid to go and take care of them and get them away from here. So Usaid went up to them and said, "Listen, what are you guys doing? Why are you guys causing trouble? Right? You're affecting our people. You're approaching the weak and you're affecting them. If you care about your health, you care about your life, then get out of here. Leave." And then, Musab bin Umair, being a very smart and strong man, he said, "Hey, wait a minute. Listen, I just want to talk to you. Can I talk to you? Let me just sit and just talk to you. Listen to what I have to say. If you want to accept it, accept it. If not, then you can leave or we'll leave." And he says, "Okay." So Asad listens to him. Sorry, Usaid listens to him, and he sees that this all makes sense, right? They're telling about Islam. They're telling about worship only Allah. Don't worship the idols. These idols are no good for you. What can these idols do for you, right? And he's thinking like, well, that makes sense, right? If you have idols, then you can break them, and then you can go and just buy another one, right? So started making sense to him, and he accepted Islam right there. And now he was thinking like, what do I do with Saad? So he goes up to Saad and he tells Saad like, "Listen, I have some very strange, very important news for you. You need to go and talk to them because I have news that there's another tribe that's gonna attack us." So then Saad goes up to them hurriedly, and then they say the same thing to him. "Saad, why don't you sit and listen to what we have to say?" So Saad bin Muaz listens, and Saad bin Muaz actually accepts Islam after listening, because he was also a wise man of intellect, man of knowledge. So he listened and he became Muslim. Now Saad bin Muaz was a leader, so he went back to his tribe and he said, "What do you guys think about me? Right? What do you guys know of me?" They said like, "You're a man of honesty and you're a strong man and you're a man of your word." And he said, "Well, guess what? I have accepted Islam, and from now on, if you're from my clan and you're not Muslim, I don't want to talk to you anymore." So when they heard this, his entire clan, except for one person, became Muslim. And even that person, Usayram, he actually became Muslim later on. So in fact, his entire clan became Muslim. Alhamdulillah. So now you can see Muslims are growing in Medina, right? So next year's Hajj comes, right? So now they go back to this fair. But now it's not 12 people, right? It's not 6 people. It's not 12 people. It's 73 Muslims. Alhamdulillah, look how many Muslims are going. So 73 Muslims went there, and they weren't happy about the way the Muslims were being treated in Mecca. So they wanted to do something for the Muslims in Mecca because they were their brothers. So they made a deal with the Prophet ﷺ that they're gonna meet him secretly at night to make some planning. So in the middle of the night, they all snuck out of their homes, and there were couple of women with them also. And they met the Prophet ﷺ, who was with his uncle Abbas and Radwan. And that time, Abbas actually was not a Muslim, right? But he accompanied his nephew because he wanted to protect him, right? Because he knew that as long as he was in Mecca, he was protected, because Abbas and his tribe, Banu Hashim, would protect him. So he went with the Prophet ﷺ to meet these people. And here, the second pledge of Aqaba was made, which is the major pledge. Now, this is what actually really, really helped Islam settle in Medina and actually grow all over the world. So they made a pact with the Prophet ﷺ. This was called the second pledge of Aqaba in the 13th year of the Prophet's mission. And this pact was similar to the first one with a couple of more things. So number one, they promised we are not going to do any shirk, right? We're not going to have any we're not going to worship anyone but Allah. We're not going to associate any partners with Allah. Number two, we're going to obey the Prophet ﷺ. Whatever he tells us to do, we're going to do. Number three, we're going to give charity, right? And also, we're going to encourage each other to do good, and we're going to encourage each other to not do evil things, right? And we're going to forbid bad things. And then also, one of the most important things they said was that we will protect the Prophet ﷺ like we protect our kids and our wives and our family. We will protect them even more than that. We will sacrifice our lives if we have to. And this was a very important pledge and a pledge of loyalty. And this actually helped Islam grow. So what happened from here is that the Muslims in Mecca, they got a little excited, right? Because now they got some friends, right? Every time you have friends, you get excited too, right? They got your back. They're going to protect you. So Muslims in Mecca knew that, hey, there's another place, another city, another people who can protect us. And they felt really good about that. And we're going to find out what happens here on, how Islam grows starting tomorrow, inshallah. Very important things. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, inshallah. And with that, we're going to conclude this topic on the Pledge of Aqaba. Please don't forget to donate. Also, we need more recordings of the kids giving azan in the Quran. Some of you have been doing that. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. Jazakallah khairan. We need more. And don't forget to submit your quiz answers on the website below, mcmcnj.org/Ramadan stars. Jazakallah khairan for tuning in. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله